Hello all, and welcome to part 5 of the Platinum Games retrospective. Today we're going to be taking a look at none other than Nier Automata, a game about existentialism, humanity's failures, and a shot at second chances. Nier Automata is honestly one of the most important JRPGs of all time, and not only that, it's one of the most important games of all time, especially for this console generation. Today I want to express my opinions and review the game outright on the things I love and some things I don't like about it, and I want to go over a little bit of the developmental backstory behind this game. So join me as we reach our very long retrospective on one of the best games ever created. Our story begins after the release of Nier. Both director Yoko Taro and Square Enix producer Yusuke Saito wanted to create a sequel. When Saito spoke to assistant producer Yoki Yokoyama, Yokoyama was unwilling to go for it after the game's low sales. However, after positive fan reception of the original Nier, both Square Enix and the lead staff that worked on the original game were willing to continue the Nier IP. However, they wanted to create a better, more action-oriented gameplay experience, and as a result they contacted none other than our boys Platinum Games, which had developed a reputation for high-quality action games such as Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and Vanquish. The collaboration was agreed upon under one of two conditions, the first of which being Yoko became director of the project, and the second that he would be present to help with production. This caused Yoko to move from Tokyo to Osaka, where Platinum Games was located. Although Taro at first was uneasy with the collaboration, the staff at Platinum Games had been wanting to work on a Nier game since its release, and their enthusiasm and wish to remain faithful to the original pushed away all of his doubts. Designer Takashi Tara also wished to create a sequel to Nier prior to Square Enix approaching the company. The original plan was to make the game for mobile platforms or even PlayStation Vita. Yoko claimed that it was intended to be something similar to the farming simulator Farmville, you know, that game you guys have played on Facebook or whatever, but it was instead decided to be developed for the PlayStation 4. Production for the game began in 2014, including 6 months of pre-production. It included many of the original staff that worked on Nier, and during production, the teams took both fan and critic feedback on Nier and their latter opinions on the game into account. The points they felt needed addressing ranged from character designs to gameplay to graphics. While improving on these points, they also carried over aspects that were well received, such as the complexity of the story and the game's music. The majority of development was handled by Platinum Games at their offices in Osaka and Tokyo, while outside staff such as Yoko were also brought in. As Nier Automata was a role-playing action game as opposed to Platinum's pure action games, the development posed new challenges for the team. While Tara handled the action combat system, designer Isa Nagashi created RPG elements. According to Nigishi and programmer Ryo Onushi, a major difficulty was creating a title faithful to Nier, which required a shift away from their style of the earlier titles they've worked on. While designing the game's RPG elements, the staff at Platinum Games were at least partially inspired by The Witcher 3, at least in terms of the design of their side quests, which they felt they would never be able to match. For the combat system, the team took systems used in Nier and infused elements from other Platinum games. Taru's main concept was that the combat system improve on the original and weave into the story. An additional consideration was the inclusion of mechanics that would allow both casual and hardcore action gamers to enjoy playing. It was also the studio's first attempt at an open world game, while their previous titles had used a story-driven linear structure. Nier Automata boasted large environments linked by seamless transitions. A particular element noted by Nigeshi was the lower concentration of enemies in the world compared to the usual found in the other titles, as the open nature of this game required this. This was part of their efforts to fulfill Yoko's creative vision. By including fewer enemies, this team gave the players the opportunity to enjoy the still beauty of the game's desolate world. Required inclusions were the shooting elements compared by the staff to bullet hell titles, and combat that switched between top and side camera views. The game starts with Unit 2B and her squad preparing to raid a Goliath machine vessel. Off the bat, everyone around 2B starts dropping like flies. Laser blasts at enemy machines are picking them off one by one. 2B makes it out by the skin of her teeth as she crash lands in the middle of a machine ambush. She quickly destroys the machine lifeforms, begins making her way through the factory. She then runs into the same Goliath unit that destroyed her squad, and it's time for a fight. Meanwhile, Ninus is picking up everything on his scanner radio and meets up with 2B and provides support taking on the Goliath class machine. After eliminating the machine, 2B and 9S work together to make their way through the factory. Once reaching the roof of said factory, it's time for the pair to take on the major Goliath threat. 2B starts the fight with 9S once again coming in last minute and assisting to take down the Goliath unit. This time however, things don't go according to plan. 2B can barely death the machine, which causes 9S to go for a kamikaze move in order to save 2B from destruction. His motor functions are almost completely damaged, forcing him to give control of his flight unit over towards 2B so she can eliminate the threat. 9S provides Haki support, which leads to some of the coolest stuff you'll ever see in a Platinum game, as 2B rips off the Goliath unit's arms and turns them around for her own personal combat use. Again, sadly things are still rough as 2B suffers a hearty blow, forcing her to say forget this, launch out of her flight unit and stab the Goliath unit directly in its head. After destroying the machine, 2B spends her time trying to heal 9S, but more Goliath units arrive on the horizon. There's only one way out of the situation and both of them know what to do. 9S and 2B take out their black boxes, touch them together causing a huge explosion which wipes out all the remaining Goliath machines. Thankfully, it's not that big of a deal to them since all their memories and their consciousness have been uploaded to the YorHa servers. YorHa, by the way, is the group that's sole purpose is to defeat the machine menace, allowing for humanity's safe return from the moon, as they're a group of androids that just want to fight for the glory of mankind. After 2B and 9S run a quick performance test, they head to the commander to get their next mission. Their next mission is to help Anomie with her resistance base in the fight against the machines. Their first quest is to encounter a machine community in the desert. Here they discover the first huge signs of machines trying to imitate humans. I mean, take a look at this. Nine S comments on how strange it is that the machines are trying to become more human-like, and 2B quickly reminds him to shut up and just take on the machines because at the end of the day they are machines, and machines can't have any emotions. Very soon after that, the machines huddle together and birth another more humanoid machine. 2B and 9S take on this foe swiftly, defeating the unknown lifeform. However, that's not enough to stop it as a new man spawns out of the kill newborn, letting out a gut-wrenching scream that tears the entire hideout down, forcing 2B and 9S to run out. After that weird encounter, their next quest is to explore the abandoned amusement park, looking for some android signals that YorHa picked up on their radar. Once again, once they arrive at the park, they see the machines mean no harm, and many are even kind when attacked. Some don't even put up a fight against 2B or 9S. Matter of fact, none of them put up a fight against 2B or 9S when attacked. They make their way through the park and find out where the signal is coming from. Another Goliath machine, this time using androids as some sort of EMP wave out of jealousy for their beauty. 2B and NS make quick work of this boss and keep things moving. However, we're left with this. After the fight, a machine appears in front of the duo, thanking them for defeating the broken machine. He later invites them back to his village. Upon arrival, the machine village is waving white flags and surrendering to our android party. Pascal offers the duo to have a look around the village, proving how it's a peaceful society. 2B and 9S take up this offer and quickly see that the machines are indeed peaceful. They talk to their leader Pascal and gain a fuel filter for Anomie. The duo gives the filter to Anomie in exchange for Pascal to get vicious oil for his machine village. After giving Pascal his oil, our YorHa duo gets an alert on their comms that a Goliath level machine is attacking the city and resistance camp. 2B and INS believe that Pascal set them up, but Pascal once again reassures them that the village has nothing to do with the attack. 2B and INS fight their way to the city and take down the Goliath-class machine. The machine's explosion causes a crater to form in the middle of the already destroyed city. 2B and INS' next mission quickly follows: explore the underground facility. They make their way underground, defeating countless machines. When the doors open, they're met with a destroyed alien husk and they run into...
これは死体
2B あれ
破壊されたエイリアンの母船が
ようこそ我が創造主の墓場へ。
Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve keep mocking the androids for putting up a fight and leave a ton of cryptic messages about the state of humanity, the feeling androids possess, etc, etc. After this encounter, 2B and INS report back to the commander to report on both the dead aliens and strange machines. The commander, surprised that the aliens have been dead for so long, decided to talk with the subject with the Council of Humanity. 2B and INS are to keep their findings secret with any YorHa members. The duo heads back to Earth and talks with Pascal, gathering info on the machine menace. They make their way over to a forest kingdom which is dominated by a monarch of machines. They attack 2B and INS with everything they have, trying to kill the androids not out of hate, but in order to save their king. They quickly fight their way to the top of the castle and encounter the king. The king, however, is just a machine child, causing 2B and INS to hesitate killing it.
これが王様
2B and INS are perplexed by the sudden appearance of this android named A2. This android is wanted by YorHa, causing the three of them to get into a fight. A2 runs off, causing 2B and INS to gather more info on the android that betrayed the Force. When they ask the commander, she denies them of any info and tells them that it's simply classified. So the curious duo heads back to Pascal once again for more info on A2. Pascal knows very little on A2 other than the fact that she's dangerous and machines should avoid her at all costs. Dissatisfied, 2B and INS head back to Anomi to gather more information, but are quickly told to take out some of the machines for a resupply route over at the flooded city, as Anomi doesn't know much on A2. They make their way over there, defeating tons of machines when an emergency broadcast goes live. A kaiju-sized machine begins wreaking havoc on the flooded city, costing many android lives. The androids do everything in their power to take down the kaiju, but they're barely making any dents. Once again, 2B and INS work together and launch artillery directly at the kaiju-sized threat, but it doesn't cause any damage. INS formulates a plan begging 2B to keep the pressure onto the kaiju machine as he hacks into a missile array and launches himself and the missile, killing himself and knocking out 2B. 2B wakes up disheveled and angered at the loss of 9S's black box signal. She rushes to camp to gather intel on where 9S could be, but to no avail. Soon a black box signal is picked up, but it's deep underground, causing 2B to explore and fill around until she comes across an elevator. The elevator takes her upwards to fight the machine earlier encounter named Adam.
ようこそ我が町へ。私たち機械生命体は人類に興味がある。愛や家族、戦争や宗教、人類の記録を読み解けば他に例を見ない複雑さに魅了されるばかり。この町もそうした人類への渇望が生み出した場所の一つ。君たちアンドロイドの墓場にはもったいない崇高な場所だろう。私たちは人類の特徴を学び模倣する。あるものは愛を、そしてあるものは家族を。これが宿保。 暗くて冷たい。
ナインエス。
However, during all the fighting between 2B and the machines, 9S was on life support trying to recount his memories before the missile strike. Adam, the machine, begins talking to him. 9S awakes from his slumber and gets an emergency warning about 2B's current status. 2B is dealing with the machine cult that's imitating religious cult activities such as ritual suicides, all in an attempt to become as gods. 9S hacks into a machine and provides 2B with the proper support to shut down the cult, and 2B makes her way over to yet another Goliath-class machine. She destroys it and books it out of the factory. 2B makes her way out of the factory to see the entire destroyed city in flames as machines run rampant, attacking anything and everything. Before the invasion begins, 9S has a talk with the commander about the human race. 9S, with his info, decides to rush back to the surface during the invasion to help out 2B, taking down the machine menace. Eve shows himself in the middle of the city and a huge fight ensues.
こんな世界意味がない。俺にとっては兄ちゃんだけが全部消えてなくなる。
2B successfully puts a decent number of hits onto Eve, but it won't be enough, causing 9S to hack into Eve's body and attack his inner core. It works out, ultimately disabling him for just enough time for 2B to Eve is dead and the machines start following around them. However, it comes with a cost. 9S is corrupted by the machine network from his hack, which means there's only one thing left for 2B to do.
9S。
失敗しちゃった。
イブのネットワーク分離時に物理汚染されちゃったみたい。
そんな。
大丈夫。バンカーにあるデータで巻き戻ることはできるから。
でもそれじゃ今の君は戻ってこない。
そうだね。汚染データをバンカーにアップロードするわけにもいかないか。
イエス。 ってるのか。こんな機械。これは通信。データ信号が共鳴し合って。
ちょっと待って 2B。
君は。
僕パーソナルデータを機械生命体側に残していたみたいで、なんか気づいたら周囲のネットワークの上で自我が再形成されたんだ。こうやって複数の自我が統合されていくのは貴重な体験だから記録しておきたいんだけど、まだ保存領域へのアクセスができてなくて、とりあえずこの辺りにある敵のメモリーに多重化して保存しておいた後に僕が自分のボディに戻れたらいい。
イエス。よかった。
うん。
こうやってアダムとイブをめぐる最後の戦いは終わった。この戦いは戦局に大きな影響をもたらすだろう。僕と 2B の戦いもこの後まだしばらく続くんだけど、それはまた別の話。
That's the ending of Part A and Part B of the storyline. Now it's time for the YorHa units to make a strong push to end the machine war. 9S scouts out the machine's air defense systems and takes them offline, causing 2B and the rest of YorHa to reach the surface and begin their strong assault. It goes very well. Many machines are destroyed and the YorHa units make a strong push, but suddenly, all units are affected by a virus, causing them to go insane. 2B and 9S retreat back to Command to report on the ongoing situation on the surface below. Command tries to detain the duo on the basis of treason and turning their back on the battlefield, but soon they too are infected by the virus. It's apparent the virus was spread throughout the YorHa servers. This causes everyone to either go insane or flat out drop dead. The commander has to wipe the slate clean and decides to self-destruct the entire command base. 2B and 9S rush out before the explosion, and during the escape, 2B sends 9S on a different crash course away from her, as she is too affected by the logic virus. 2B slowly crawls over to a bridge where she encounters none other than A2.
Virus contamination rate 90%. Alert. Unusual heat generation in central nervous system. Internal combustion imminent. Abnormality detected in visual senses. Alert. Deterioration found in black box. Alert. Damage to data backup system. Said damage will make it difficult to retain self-consciousness upon backup.
Backup gone. Point back now anyway. My body.
These are my memories. Take care of everyone for me. Take care of the future, A2.
She asks A2 to carry her memories and take care of 9S as she succumbs to the logic virus. 2B gives A2 her pod and sword which contains her memories, as 9S runs towards 2B's signal to see the tail end of A2 and 2B's conversation.
Nights.
Suddenly, a tower springs from the center of the destroyed city. Okay, things are gonna get a little twisty, turvy, and complicated here. We're gonna have to be following two different character storylines between A2 and 9S. They weave and play throughout each other, so keep that in mind as we go throughout this video. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, we're going to have to cover here, so if you get a little lost or a little confused, don't worry, I promise I'll try my hardest to rear the steering wheel back into place and keep the storyline as straightforward and as easy to follow as humanly possible. When you play the game, it's an entirely different experience. This is just a YouTube summary, so obviously things are going to be a little out of place and whatnot. So with that all being said, let's get straight into it. After getting knocked out, 9S wakes back up in the camp with two androids named YorHa and Poplio taking care of him. He learns that he's been knocked out for 2 weeks and needs to make up for lost time by analyzing the giant tower in the middle of the destroyed city. He realizes the barrier is too strong to defeat, causing him to scout out these recovery units that fuel the tower. He vows to destroy every machine and makes his way up towards the first recovery unit structure in the wooden forest. As 9S makes his way up the first recovery tower, A2 gets her objective from 2B's former pod. She also vows to kill every machine left and works her way towards the desert to take out a Goliath-class machine. After pouring her all into the fight, she kills the Goliath-class enemy, but not before it lets out an EMP, disabling her, causing her to enter the machine's mainframe and take it out completely once and for all. This is also intertwined with her own and 2B's memories, which causes some confusion. After all is said and done, the stress from all of the info causes A2 to pass out. She wakes up quickly, however, discovering she needs to replace her fuel filter. A2 heads back to the resistant camp, running into Pascal. She can either kill him here or help him with this village. In my playthrough, I decided to help him in order to get my fuel replacement. A2 helps Pascal collect materials to gather a fuel replacement kit, and with a bit of guilt decides to stick around and help Pascal with any other issues the village needs fixing up. After helping Pascal and the townspeople with various issues, Pascal's final request is for A2 to bring back a book on philosophy for him and his village. A2 heads back to grab the book, talking with Enomi about how strange it is that machines are acting and imitating humans more and more every day. Soon back at Pascal's village, trouble starts brewing. A2 returns to see the entire village on fire and many residents either zombified or being cannibalized one by one. Pascal barely gets out of there and sends the kids far away into a secret compartment of the factory, protecting them from the danger that's infested the village. A2 joins Pascal back at the factory and tries to work out a new place for the kids to live. However, it's too late, as the machines launch an all-out assault on Pascal and his children, causing him to break his promise and begin fighting. Pascal jacks into a Goliath machine and begins fighting the onslaught of terrible machines that want to take down his village.
ああ、助かった。子供たちが心配です。部屋に戻りましょう。
All the kids are gone and you're forced to either kill Pascal or delete his memories. I chose to delete his memory. During all of that, 9S is fighting his way up the second resource unit. He learns the machines are the ones behind the tower and he's slowly losing his mind due to the logic virus infecting him. This causes him to officially go crazy, as one of the last memories he sees is none other than his partner in all of this madness, 2B. He destroys the second resource unit and makes his way towards the third unit. On his way, he encounters Pascal, this time with completely wiped memories. 9S scoffs and moves on. He reaches the third unit and makes his way to the very top, encountering a corrupt YorHa operator number 610. The fight is ruthless, dragging on for quite some time, and once again A2 comes crashing from above, stabbing the operator and killing her.
A2。
優しい人になってほしいと 2B は言っていたぞ。
お前が 2B の言葉を語るな。
9S wakes up from his fall and reaches the giant tower in the middle of the city. He unlocks the giant pillars for the tower and tries to bust his way in, but he's unsuccessful upon his first attempt. The barrier is too strong and it pushes him back. Despite this, Devolva and Poplia come back and help 9S reach the inside of the tower. With the help of both of them, 9S makes his way inside. We're given a cutscene showing the backstory of the twin units. This is one of the few direct links back to the first Nier game, as those two twins were to help set up with Project Assault. The project was an experiment made to separate human souls from their body in the case of the Black Sprawl infection taking over the entire human race. The twin units Devolva and Poplia were made to assist the project, but things didn't quite work out as the Black Sprawl virus was too powerful and the Devolva and Poplia units couldn't complete their task. However, it wasn't the same twin units we are following in game, rather another pair of units from a entirely different part of the world who couldn't complete their task, causing a chain reaction to go off on any Devolva and Poplia units. They began getting discriminated against and sometimes abused in many cases. This lasted among the androids for years upon years. Devolva and Poplia sacrificed themselves to open the barrier so 9S can make his way up the White Tower. 9S does make his way up the White Tower, killing many androids in the process, eventually encountering his greatest regret, 2B.
2B type. ここで会えてよかった。本当によかった。一体残らず粉々に壊せ。
After the battle finishes, an explosion goes off, rendering 9S unconscious. A2 reads up on the machine's history in this tower and a little bit of what happened behind the scenes with YorHa. A2 is suddenly attacked by another Goliath-class machine, and A2 quickly injures it, which causes the machine to scurry off. A2 makes her way to an elevator-like platform, trapping her in a machine's program where the duo of machines try to kill A2, but it ultimately doesn't work out. As the two minds start butting heads and disagreeing with each other, this causes both of them to go to war with themselves, ultimately causing themselves to self-destruct, allowing A2 to make her way upwards via the elevator-like platform. She begins fighting the machine Koshi on the platform. Meanwhile, 9S wakes up from an explosion lacking his arm. He embraces 2B and rips off her hand, replacing it with his torn off hand. He makes his way towards the enemy, which reveals a special announcement. That announcement being that the humans have been dead for years upon years. He still decides to fight the machine menace. 9S is going insane. 9S battles some more YorHa units and takes their flight units into battle against the machine Roshi. It boils down to this super dope boss fight with 9S and A2 working together to take down the two machines fused. It's really dope. However, after all the fighting, we're left with one decision. With all of that said, do we side with A2 or 9S? Choosing A2 results in this sick fight we're going to battle off against 9S hacking prowess and his pod abilities. It ends with A2 hacking into 9S and sacrificing herself to clean 9S of his corrupt logic virus, hopefully saving him in the end from everything going on. The pod carries 9S back to the destroyed city, and A2 finally comes to appreciate the warmth and light of the world. The game's credits roll, and we're left with one important question. Do we wish for 2B and 9S and A2 to be saved, or let the memories remain gone forever? I chose to salvage everything we could with 2B, 9S, and A2, and the game rewinds quickly, giving us the E ending. We shoot down the credits and realize the pods have backed up 9S, A2, and 2B's memories completely intact, giving them a second chance at life. Well, that was just a roller coaster of emotions. Nier Automata's storytelling is out of this world. It juggles so many themes so wonderfully, it's actually a feat within itself. Playing through the game felt like watching a series of movies unravel before you. The game even has to be continued segments and story recaps similar to an anime, so I think there's a little bit of truth to that theory. Couple that with very good gameplay, and we have a super strong story. I don't think anyone that's played Nier Automata will forget this game for years to come. It's just such a compelling story, and a lot of the game revolves around human ideals, death, lots of death. Almost every side quest is either finding some comrade's lost dog tags or looking for old music boxes of dead androids or something of that nature. But surprisingly, it's all quite heartfelt, and the way the androids treat these topics, whether they leave flowers or some just want to honor the memory of fallen allies, feels kind of tender in a way. It doesn't stop there. Our main characters are no stranger to death. From a gameplay aspect, it's shown as a second chance to change the future. Your body gets destroyed, sure, but the android's memories and consciousness are just given to a new body to try again. This is perfectly represented at the end of the game with Ending E, where your pods are left to carry all the memories of everything you've done throughout the game, but this time with a glimmer of hope. Sure, they could repeat the cycle and kill each other again in another series of tragic events, or maybe, just maybe, with the new knowledge they've acquired, maybe things will be different. Maybe they could try to reshape the future. Heck, even with Pascal losing his entire village and his children and townspeople, even he is given the opportunity to start anew once his memories are wiped, and he can have a crack at an alternate peaceful lifestyle. Maybe a lonely one, but a happy one at that. Even Adam and Eve are offered their second chance with the launch of the Ark along with many other machines on the network, and if you stay with them during 9S's monologue, he too is offered a second chance. This theme is very prevalent throughout the game, and it's so strangely uplifting. No matter how bad things get, no matter how destroyed everything is around you, no matter what's going on in your life, it seems like the game's always telling you there's always another shot at things. Sure, you didn't complete your goals, sure, you're not the best, but what matters is giving it your all a second time, or in some cases, scrapping everything and just starting fresh. Now, despite the uplifting themes towards the end, there's still a lot to unpack here. The themes of loneliness after being outcasted by society, presence with Devolva and Poplia, feeling like there's a burden to complete a task that wasn't even their fault, the likes of which even result in their death. Everyone pushed them around, even injuring their body, all because of an incident from look-alike androids. Maybe it's how humans care too much about the little things like beauty and charms with the Opera House boss. Her breakdown when she realizes she's not pretty enough is quite depressing. Then there's the military aspects of humanity, like having something to believe in when fighting for, which 9S goes through a whole arc with that as we went through, let me tell ya. 9S from the start is treated like trash compared to the beast that is 2B. 9S is kind of shrugged off and even talked down upon throughout his playthrough. It isn't until he uses his kamikaze missile strike that people start actually kind of caring about him again. Even the commander pulls 9S aside to tell him that the humans were dead all along and YorHa was created as a front to keep the androids' morale up. However, instead of going crazy like he did later when the logic virus corrupted him, he opts to keep it to himself and find something else to fight for, that being his friend, which is 2B. To him it was like a girlfriend, a love interest, someone he could open up to and trust, even though his fate with her is ultimately sealed, as 2B is a special unit made specifically to handle 9S units from learning the truth, thus causing the cycle of memory loss, death, and it repeats again and again and again. Despite all of that, however, they're all still offered second chances, tying back into the themes of redemption. Nier Automata's storyline is chock full of wonderful themes and offers some surprisingly uplifting commentary despite the fact that it's set millions and millions of years ahead of the future where all humans have been dead for forever basically. It's easily one of the most enjoyable narratives presented in a game, and I loved every second of it. I just wanted to take the time to discuss the theme of second chances. That's the theme that made the biggest impact on me throughout the playthroughs of this game. There's so much more to cover, and trust me, I'll get to it one day, but for the sake of the video length and the fact that it's still a Platinum game is retrospective and not a Nier Automata retrospective, let's just keep things pushing for now. Moving along, the game is just flat out gorgeous. It combines a photorealistic world with very detailed, destroyed and flooded cities, dense forests, a rather gothic and rundown amusement park, and a wonderful desert, and combines it all into this breathtaking open world experience. The art style is also pretty strong here, with bombastic Gundam style lasers ripping across your screen from the pod and or machines firing, to these really cute tiny little comical pellets that come into the pods when you're firing. The machine design also really stands out. They have these overly round bodies and comical weapons, from makeshift spears made out of nuts and bolts and random pieces of metal to just big ol' stompers that they use to crush their opponents beneath their feet. It's a stark contrast from the perfect looking androids, and speaking of androids, all of these are really good designs. 9S is sporting some swag with the satchel slinged over his shoulder, which is pretty tough, I'm not gonna hold you. And 2B, well, yeah, she's 2B. Character designs are on point, and everything does a really good job of fitting the atmosphere. I also have to applaud the diegetic UI Nier has in place. Everything in the game correlates to the fact that you are an android, from the way the menus are brought up to the pause screen to gameplay elements such as the chip system. It all ties into the fact that you're an android, which is a nice touch. Speaking of plug-in chips, let's get to that. Firstly, the core gameplay. It consists of typical light and heavy attacks that chain into each other, similar to Bayonetta and Transformers Devastation. The combos, although samey, are made up for in diversity thanks to the weapon types you switch between, those being spears, small swords, large swords, axes, and arms. You're allowed to quickly switch between weapon sets on the fly, essentially giving you access to 4 weapons at once. The pods also have their fair share of fun and unique abilities. They have the typical gun shooting, only tiny damaging pellets with the Gatling, the laser weapon that seems puny at first, but coupled with the right set of skills becomes a great executioner move of sorts, and last but not least the missiles, which helps in crowd control situations. The pods come equipped with special perks, some allowing you to summon spears from the ground, or my personal favorite, the laser, causing a blast so strong it knocks back the opposition. Combining all your weapons and pods together makes for some satisfying combat segments. The game doesn't stop there, however. Sometimes it spices things up with these bullet hell sections where you take flight in a YorHa unit and battle the machines from above, or you're back on the ground doing these strange 2D side-scrolling or top-down camera angle segments. The game likes to get experimental gameplay-wise, and it offers enough to shake things up to keep the formula fresh and rewarding. 9S is largely the same as 2B and A2, but his main gimmick is, well, he's not the strongest hand-to-hand fighter. His skills are mainly in the hacking world. He can hack into machines and make them explode, or take over their body, or cause the machine to switch sides and fight for him. 9S's hacking minigame is quite stressful as you're thrown into a retro shmup arena with a tight time to defeat all the enemy's black dots before the clock hits 0. If you're successful, you could do an extreme amount of damage to the machine or even get a takeover. If you fail, you eat a ton of damage. The gameplay is very tight and responsive. It still makes room for some of that platinum charm in the combos thanks to the pod abilities and stunning animations. Sure, the game is missing some of the nuances presented in other Platinum games, but I'm willing to be a bit more forgiving with this game because 1, it's a JRPG at the end of the day. The fact that it still manages to do so much with so little is astounding. They really went all out to keep combat simple yet surprisingly deep and complex when we introduce things like the plug-in chips. This is how you equip your android with buffs, whether they be defensive or offensive. Whether you want to make your android a complete tank that heals 10% after every hit you dish out on a machine, or an android that plays keep away, buffing their range attacks and healing passively every 0.5 seconds, you can opt for either or, and even on the fly seeing how you can make 3 different builds. The best part about plug-in chips is it's a tiny puzzle game within itself. Trying to cram as much memory as you can into each chip is like playing some strange avant-garde Tetris buffing minigame. The game also offers a slew of fun side quests ranging from typical fetch quests to machine slaying gauntlets to full-on races between machines. Everything in this game really stands out and tries its hardest not to feel rushed. It's a very deliberate game, and the game clearly wants you to take your time. To top it off, the soundtrack is memorizing. The game makes full use of its dynamic soundtrack, often bouncing between instrumental pieces as you walk around the overworld into full-blown orchestras with vocals blaring as you encounter a horde of machines to battle in the overworld, and each song seamlessly flows into each other as you walk around these massive spaces, which goes a long way adding to the immersion of the game. And the boss battle themes just
これ
こんな形の機械生命体、記録にありません。
perfection. Everything just feels so right and blends together perfectly, making for one of the best experiences in video game history. Sure, I have some nitpicks here and there. I feel like there's a couple too many fetch and escort quests, and the combat, although fun, can get a little bit repetitive at times. The new game plus mode also should do a better job of damage scaling, and the difficulty modes need much better balance on hard. At the very least, the whole no lock-on is incredibly dumb and causes for some extremely frustrating moments, especially when up against certain boss fights and hordes of enemies. But when the core of the game is so darn good, it's hard for me to stay mad at such trivial nitpicks. Nier Automata is quite simply one of the best games of all time. It's a storyline about hope and second chances, wrapped up in an all too cruel world with wonderful combat, interesting characters, and such a beautiful overworld worth exploring. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to get a little personal here. Nier Automata came at a really poignant point in my life where I was going through a lot of turmoils and just general life stuff going on. I mean, my mind was kind of in the wrong places. I was very depressed at the time, and school was taking quite a toll on me. But somehow this game came at the perfect point. Seeing a game where the entire world is basically destroyed, humans are gone, and every android is experiencing some sense of loss, yet everyone is trying to make their own future and find hope and do exactly what they can to give themselves a second chance was really uplifting, knowing that no matter what's going on, it's not really the end. And that's gonna do it. Guys, thank you so much for checking out my Platinum Games retrospective thing. It's been a blast. Nier Automata was great. It's not just because it helped me through a tough part, but also because there's so much that went into the game that was wonderful. And on top of that, the developers behind it like basically bet it on black to see if this game was going to succeed. And it did, and it got the sales, and it finally did it, you know, it finally succeeded. And that's really great to see. And hopefully we'll get more Nier stuff or Drakengard stuff or whatever. This game just means a lot to me, and I really just enjoy everything behind it. Really great stuff. And speaking of great stuff, thank you over to everyone that watches the videos and supports my content. And also thank you to literally everyone at Platinum Games. I mean, you guys have created some of the best action games and some of the most fun JRPG, the most fun JRPG I've played in quite some time. And I just have to applaud your guys' work for making a consistent set of bangers, minus what, TMNT, and even their okay games are just that. They're just mediocre. They haven't made a single bad game. They'll never make a bad game. I mean, it's Platinum. They can't do that. It's not in their coding. Next up, however, we are going to be taking a look at Astral Chain. Now, I know you guys have probably seen my rant video on it, and I'm sorry. I was a little upset about everything. However, this time I'm going to dial back the upsetty spaghetti meter and look at it from a little more analytical view. Go into its story, gameplay, presentation, the usual stuff we do on this channel. And let's actually take a look at Astral Chain next time on the final Platinum Games retrospective. Thank you all again so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, all that usual stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.